So it's worth spending quite a bit of time working on your VMO and developing it and making sure the VMO is caught up to the rest of your legs. Squats and deadlifts, super popular. I bet not a lot of people have done either of these movements before. Today I just want to go over two different exercises that can target the VMO. The VMO is this teardrop muscle on the inside of your legs. It's one of your quad muscles. It also tends to be the most underdeveloped. That's for a few reasons. One, people don't really train it. And two, it can be kind of hard to recruit. So even if you are training it, you might not be getting that muscle to fire. The reason to care about this muscle is because it stabilizes your knee through lateral movement. So if you're an athlete, just think about anytime you're cutting back or changing direction, you're asking your VMO to maintain the integrity of your knee. So people probably hear a lot about ACL tears. I'm not gonna say training the VMO can help prevent all those ACL injuries, but it'll definitely help strengthen the integrity of the knee and keep that system a lot stronger through sort of those violent change of direction moves. So going back to why this can be a bit of an issue for people, one, they either don't know how to train it, or two, these muscles are hard to recruit because these tend to be the last muscles to work anytime you're asking the quads to do anything. A lot of people use step-ups and lunges to target the VMO. That can work, but you need to do pretty high rep ranges to sort of fatigue the rest of the quads, and then the VMO finally start working. These are two movements where you can pretty specifically target the VMO without having to pre-fatigue the rest of your quads. So you don't need to totally trash your legs before targeting the VMO doing these two. So 2-point touches with a band. These are done from a low anchor point. You want the band just anywhere around the foot. So the banded foot is not the leg that you're actually working on this one. It's the leg that you're standing on. So the leg that you're standing on, you want to have a slight bend in that leg, strong foot position, so feel like you're digging the toes into the ground, and then make sure the knee's in a good position that whole time as well. Once you're there, all you're doing is pulling the foot forward and back. The two different variations of this is working in the sagittal plane, going forward and back. The other one is doing side to side, or kind of the lateral 2-point touches working in your frontal plane. So both of those are going to target the VMO very well without having to pre-fatigue your quads. So the second move is called a Peterson step up. Kind of look on the internet, you'll see a lot of different variations of this. Any sort of Peterson step up or Peterson step down, it does help target the VMO. Doing it, there's a lot of different nuances to it though. So doing it in this particular way will really help the VMO fire immediately, and again, not having to pre-fatigue the rest of the quads just to get the VMO to work. So doing it this way, if you're working on the right leg, so the right leg is going to be up and elevated, you're going to start up on the toes, kind of in the ball of the foot of that right leg. Slight external rotation, but I'm not going to worry about that now. Left leg is down on the ground. So to get in that position, the right leg is going to be bent pretty far, and again, you're up on the ball of the foot on that right leg. So you want the left heel to be lined up with the toes of that right foot. So the left leg is actually going to be out in front. The leg that's starting on the ground is going to be, that heel will be lined up with the toes of the working leg, in this case the right leg. The last thing before you start is shifting your weight out of the left foot, out of kind of, if it's evenly distributed, you want to be able to get those toes up off the ground. So getting your weight into the heel of that left leg. What that does, it forces you to push out of the right leg, because if you can push out of the left leg that's on the ground, you will. So getting weight into the heel of that foot, that's going to force you to just use the right leg, which in this case is the working leg, up on the platform. Then everything will kind of switch as you exchange. So you press your weight into that right leg as you step up. As you come to that top position, you're still trying to keep the toes up on the left leg. That's just going to help you as you go back down to make sure you're landing into the heel and you're not allowing yourself to absorb yourself back down with any part of the left leg. You're just staying in the right. So it's worth spending quite a bit of time working on your VMO and developing it and making sure the VMO is caught up to the rest of your legs. Squats and deadlifts, super popular. I bet not a lot of people have done either of these movements before. So if your legs and your quads are super strong and you can produce a ton of force and you're very fast, you know, you're going to ask yourself, if you're an athlete, you're going to be asking yourself to change directions quickly. And when you do that, if you can put a lot of force into the ground, you need to make sure your VMO can keep that knee in a good position and kind of maintain the integrity of that system. If not, you kind of see what happens. ACL tears are super common. VMO tends to be underdeveloped in those situations. So spend some time working on these two movements. If you want, do these after a leg workout, because then your quads and your whole legs will kind of be pre-fatigued already, and you won't have to have all the nuances of the movements down perfectly to get the VMO to fire. If your legs are already pre-fatigued and you're doing these movements, your VMO will hit pretty quickly. If you're kind of just doing this as a standalone workout, then go back through the video, pause it when you need to, and you really need to figure out the nuances of these positions to make sure you're getting them right to get the VMO to fire.